the last days of work in the Strasbourg Parliament before the European elections. A record number of over 1,100 journalists from around the world have been given access. Between rounds of voting, the corridors are not filled with discussions about the climate or economics, but rather unmasking spies in Parliament. MEPs have just learned of the arrest of a parliamentary assistant for Maximilian Krah from the far-right Alternative for Germany party.
Natürlich sind Spione ein Problem.
The man is accused of spying for the Chinese. This comes just days after the news website Voice of Europe was discovered to be under Russian influence and where several far-right MEPs openly defended pro-Russian stances. A year after Qatargate and the discovery of suitcases of cash at the home of Eva Kaili, the vice president of the European Parliament, reports of interference have multiplied, revealing the fragility of European institutions. Attempts to influence and corrupt MEPs have intensified since February 2022, the start of the war in Ukraine.
I remember a far-right MEP saying, "What's all this about Ukrainian children being kidnapped by Russian forces?" Nothing of the sort. Russia has sheltered Ukrainian children who were being bombed by their own army. And he's telling this story in plenary. I mean, he has some nerve. Now, was this MEP paid to do this? I don't know, but in any case, he did it.
When it comes to interference, MEPs from the far right are often accused. But to achieve their goal, foreign powers cast a wide net. Any parliamentary group could be a target.
The reality is that this European Parliament today is under the control of foreign interference, under the control of lobbies, because you have a quarter of MEPs, which is a lot, who receive side payments from foreign powers, companies and lobbies. I've been approached on numerous occasions. The Russian embassy sent me a bottle of champagne, which I was the only one to denounce.
The growing number of cases has cast a shadow over MEPs on the campaign trail. They're calling for an investigation and the names of members suspected of acting on behalf of foreign powers.
As president of the Renew Group, I was the first to react to the latest announcements about entryism, Russian spying with Voice of Europe. And yes, I clearly asked for names and facts to know exactly what happened and immediate sanctions as soon as we have this information.
In the meantime, televised debates are an opportunity to point the finger at candidates.
Notre position aujourd'hui, c'est d'éviter l'escalade. C'est d'éviter l'escalade.
Vous avez aidé Poutine sur le terrain.
Monsieur Mariani,
vous l'avez aidé à surveiller des élections fantoches.
C'est parce que Monsieur Poutine n'était pas disponible ce soir.
De les valider. Vous avez pris de l'argent, Monsieur Poutine, Monsieur Mariani? Expliquez-nous.
Faites attention si vous faites des accusations. C'est une accusation ou c'est une question?
Je vous pose une question, Monsieur Mariani.
Alors vous connaissez la réponse. Voilà.
Thierry Mariani makes no secret of his close ties to Vladimir Putin. His trips to annex Crimea have not gone unnoticed. His pro-Russian stance almost cost him his place on the list of the French far-right candidate, Jordan Bardella. He calls it a witch hunt.
You know that every time there are votes around Russia, there are usually more than 600 votes in favor of sanctions and barely 100 to abstain or vote against. Frankly, if there is Russian interference, the Russians are bad. They really need to change tactics. The alibi of Mrs. van der Leyen's incompetence, her failures and her lack of ability is interference. We were even told that the bed bugs came from the Russians. I hope the mosquitoes aren't the fault of the Chinese.
Far from Mariani's sarcastic tone, EU institutions take the matter of outside propaganda very seriously. In 2020, the Parliament set up a special commission to investigate and put an end to interference. Its chairman, Raphael Glucksmann, is currently campaigning for re-election. For him, foreign interference jeopardizes European sovereignty on the world stage.
Aujourd'hui, au Qatar.
Today in Qatar,
today in Moscow, or today in Beijing. They think that European public life strongly resembles a supermarket where you can come and do your shopping. Well, we're going to put that to an end.
According to the digital interference watchdog Viginum, the leading candidate for the French Socialist Party is currently the target of an online disinformation campaign organized by Beijing.
It's not a huge surprise. I'm already under sanctions. I'm not allowed to go to China. Neither me nor my family, not even to meet Chinese officials. So I'm already the target of these regimes, and for me, it's like a badge of honor.
Digital interference is once again plaguing the European debate with dreaded consequences, giving more reasons for voters to abstain.